Rabbi Richman, let me play devil's advocate for a moment just to put UNESCO's doubts at rest finally. What evidence do we have that there was ever a Jewish temple on the Temple Mount?
So one of the ironies here is that UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, one of their major mandates is the preservation of historical sites all over the world, and yet for the past 20 years the Muslim Waqf has been engaging in wanton destruction of hundreds of thousands of tons of remnants of the second and even the first temple. UNESCO hasn't said a word about that. There is a great deal of archaeological evidence, if that's what interests us, in the location of the temple as being on the Temple Mount. Many of the artifacts that have been found in the Temple Mount sifting project that date back to even the first temple, extraordinary finds that the Antiquities Authority is quite excited about, point to the contiguous Jewish presence on the Temple Mount.
Jerusalem's Old City has been on UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites in Danger since 1982. You represent the Temple Institute, which states that its ultimate goal, and I'm quoting here directly from your website, is to see Israel rebuild the Holy Temple on Mount Moriah. That's the Temple Mount.
Correct.
Presumably that means demolishing the Dome on the Rock?
No, I wouldn't say that at all. And we have to understand here, when we talk about the dangers facing the Temple Mount, we put in Judaism on trial because every normative Jew who has a Passover Seder and concludes it with the words L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem, isn't talking about the Malcha Mall.
Right, but I'm trying to understand, if you see the temple being rebuilt.
Yes, this is the absolute banner of every prophet of Israel to tell us that the temple would be rebuilt. But the question is, how is that going to happen, when, and under what circumstances? The temple, according to the prophets of Israel, is the hallmark of peace. And so no one in my circles espouses or believes that this is going to come about through any sort of confrontation. It is, however, a major component, in fact, a central theme of Jewish faith, that the temple will be rebuilt and will usher in an era unparalleled in human history of harmony.
So for the record, as far as the Temple Institute is concerned, Dome on the Rock, Al-Aqsa Mosque, absolutely off limits to Israel to interfere with those sites.
There is no interference. In fact, the only issue at hand really is the fact that Jews and Christians are prevented from expressing themselves, any religious sentiment, even closing their eyes or crying on the Temple Mount, which, by the way, has been struck down repeatedly for decades by the Supreme Court as being completely illegal.
Very briefly, Rabbi Richman, why do you believe the Arab states are taking such dramatic efforts to deny the Jewish connection to the Temple Mount, and why is the world willing to entertain them, more importantly?
Very simply, what we are seeing in recent years is a total spiritual revolution here in Israel, where a younger generation is rising up and declaring that this place is very important to us and returning to the Temple Mount. There were generations that were raised having been taught that we have no connection to this place. And
the Arab world is afraid of this spiritual awakening?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, Rabbi Richman, thank you.